What's up, all my good people out there? What it do? Y'all been checking out the preseason games? Yo, what it do? Peace, salute. What it do? Took a walk, see what it looked like outside DC. It's kind of quiet. Town, Eon, what's good? I'm just chilling, man. Walk my dogs into the city, see how the city looking while they salam. Where am I in DC? I'm in Northeast DC right now. Police presence ain't really too tough, but the streets is real quiet. Oh, you just said it. Same thing I said, real quiet. Ain't too much going on. Normal life. They said the south side looked like a ghost town. I ain't been on the south side today. Been uptown, downtown, northeast. I see a whole lot of other big time YouTubers been covering DC lately too. They ain't got boots on the ground. I don't know what's really going on. Oh, St. Louis, Missouri love. Shout out that I ran across a case from out of Missouri today. I want to cover that just to bring some exposure to it because even if people don't watch it, but I had a 15 to life sentence. That's like a defunct life sentence. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is that you don't make parole until they say they ready to let you make parole. And the state of Missouri has a terrible parole problem right now, just like the junk that we had in the city. Or, well, I ain't gonna say in the city, but being from Washington, D.C., stuck in the federal prison system. Commanders, what's up, bro? I meant to ask you something. Oh, you still be going out yonder? I'm in Southeast DC, and you are right. The streets are quiet. Yeah, I mean, I've been going outside, moving around just to see. You know what I mean? But don't let this fake quietness fool you. There's always a quiet before the storm. So don't let this fake quiet shit fool you. I will keep you alive in the basement, living off the drippings of the wall. That's your only troll, bruh? What's that blue light in the sky? I don't know, probably some type of Washington, D.C. surveillance type shit that's all the way on top of a building. Somebody say that's facts. I will walk you like a dog. Hey, y'all gonna let that nigga keep talking like that? No, that's two off the wall statements that nigga done made. It's quiet, but the package is still moving. Damn, Rich, for real, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I'm not trying to get into no ignorant shit right now. I'm just enjoying the breeze tonight. But ultimately, although they spend millions of dollars on things like the Drug Enforcement Administration, But when the pack just move and don't know bodies dropping, don't know dumb violent shit go on, they don't buy or no overdoses. But when violent crime terrorizes people, especially people that's not from the street, things happen, man. Like I don't want to sit here and act like I don't understand. I've seen these things happen that's going on right now at least twice in my lifetime. I was locked up doing some of those other situations, so I'm not gonna really say I experienced it, but I experienced the late '80s here. I mean, I grew up through all of the '80s, but I was running around collecting my own opinion in the late '80s and the early '90s. They had the National Guard here. They had the orange hats. And now I'm here during this time, and I see it, and it's so crazy that now that I'm older, I can see what the play is as the play come. Good girl. I can see what the play is as the play come. I mean, and to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad that I ain't in one of them crossroad times in my life where as though I can get caught up in the humble and what this shit is going on. Now I understand how they say knowledge is power and shit. When you know what's going on, you try your best to avoid it, which is why when I be talking lately, I've been talking slick to all them niggas that says, and I remember this, I remember feeling like that when they say, oh, when the ops come into your hood, the real ops, you don't do nothing. What do that supposed to mean, y'all? Like, I understand what it mean in a figurative sense of speaking, just running your mouth. But literally, how many of y'all feel like, oh, all them steppers, all them young wild niggas, all them niggas with all them big 100-round drums and shit, what's up with them niggas when the national, who feels like that, like truly? See, I was explaining to my friend from Cali that DC different. A lot of people not scared of the police in the city. I mean, you know, I say this all the time, and I think y'all think it's cliche, or I'm just, you know, I'm just a super DC native. But we taught different here. We come up different here. Even if you look at the youngins, sometimes you might look at the youngins and feel like they being disrespectful or something like that. But it really come from a place of, man, I don't really care about what you talking about. See, I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of motherfuckers in DC that can't comprehend for nothing. Damn, Slim. He said, yeah. I think this just a test for what's to come. In a lot of major cities across the country, we are literally about to be under martial law. That's how you feeling? He said, I welcome the peace. I'm tired of hearing the gunshots and police chases. Damn, okay. Some of y'all do feel different. Law period. I'm not Snoop or Pac, but DC, we have a different mentality. I mean, the ones of us that know and the ones of us that don't know. I just don't want none of these youngins to get caught up in this mix of this new era shit now. This woman, because I'm going to stop disrespecting these people before they try to hit me for hate speech, but sometimes I just talk like that. But this U.S. attorney they got in D.C. been here like 3 months. Her name is Jeanine Pirro. She's like 74 years old. But she hasn't ran a U.S. attorney's office in 20 years, according to the information I looked up in the newspapers and stuff like that. She don't know what she doing. She thinks she can rewrite law as she goes on. She don't understand that she's never worked in a place like D.C. And what I mean by that is this. According to my knowledge, she worked up there in New York somewhere, West Dorchester County or something. Don't quote me on the county. That ain't really my point. But in most of those places, whether it be a federal U.S. attorney's office or it be a local a DA's office, like a county joint or a state joint of some sort, most of the time they only have one person to answer to and one set of laws to follow. State law or fed law, which is U.S. code, right? Jeanine Pirro, who's now coming here talking about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to change the law, I'm going to charge him at 14 years old and give him 60 years and blase, blase. I'm not going to sit here and taunt them like they won't try to find a way to circumvent the law and do it. But My point is this: she's never been nowhere, but she had to follow and abide by federal law and local law, because DC law and federal law are in some sick way intertwined. They are almost like federal law is the law in which this DC code, which hasn't been corrected, ratified, or basically changed or overhauled, which Congress stopped in over 100 years. You understand what I'm saying? In over 100 years. There wasn't even a DC Superior Court, which is another thing that I don't think Janine Pirro fully understands, that someone should educate her. I bet you if you walked up on her and had a personal conversation, said, hey, when was DC Superior Court created? Somebody Google that for me right this minute. When was DC Superior Court created? She won't know that DC Superior Court was created in the 70s because DC Federal Court, U.S. District Court, was jam-packed with shit like armed robbery, pickpocketing, bank robbing, kidnapping, murder, your regular DC crimes that people are known for, which is another reason why people don't understand. They think that I'm glorifying violence in DC when I say that most of the crimes that come out of the District of Columbia, Superior Court, which people most don't understand what I'm talking about, are violent. It's because they created that court to deal with all the bullshit that they did not want to prosecute or process in federal court. So when you say, damn, you see them DC niggas in prison, them niggas act like this, them niggas act like that. That's because those are the only crimes that's prosecuted in that court that sends niggas to the federal system. But back to the prosecutor, Janine Pirro. She don't understand that she's the U.S. attorney. She can only charge people in Superior Court with certain crimes. She can only charge people in federal court with certain crimes. So she can't even come in here and freestyle. She got to walk a straight line herself. And first thing she has to do is understand the dynamics between the two different courts. Yes, she's the U.S. attorney. Yes, she's going to determine who will get prosecuted in Superior Court or federal court. And for an example, for a person that's from another city that's not from Washington, D.C., that may not understand, there's a humongous difference in being prosecuted for, say, a gun charge in Superior Court and federal court. Just like in your state, it could be a humongous difference in being processed in state court for a gun or federal court for a gun. In Superior Court, I know people who get as low as 1 year for a gun. In federal court in D.C., I know people who get shit like 7 years, 9 years, 70 months for a gun. That's the big difference. So when she talking about, oh, I can't touch the kids, that's the way the DC law is written. And they have to change it. They can't say we're going to change it tonight. The DC law that gives DC the ability to run itself, what's called autonomy, self-governs, is called the Home Rule Act of 1973. It was signed into law, federal law, by President Nixon. That's the United States president. Any legal action he takes is always going to be called a federal action. Janine Pirro practices law and understands law from a state or federal perspective, I believe. She's going to get an introduction into what DC law is. You dig? I'm tired of drug dealing in low-income neighborhoods of D.C. People are tired of being afraid because of the drug dealers intimidating people in the community. Okay. I missed a couple comments because I was walking and talking. Plus, I'm outside and it's nighttime, so I'm looking around. So I'm more so talking than reading. It's still Washington, D.C. But for those of y'all that believe that this Trump thing is about making D.C. safe, let me school y'all, some of y'all who think y'all are intellectuals and may even think that sometimes I dumb shit down or I'm ignorant. The Trump administration, hey, I appreciate this super chat. The Trump administration withheld $1 billion with a B, not $1 million, $1 billion. You understand? That's $1 million. They withheld $1 billion from the District of Columbia that would have been used for what is called public safety. Similar to the same invasion that they sending in all these U.S. troops. I mean, all these federal agents and, armed National Guard. If it was really about public safety, And a lot of people don't even know how to articulate this in these spaces like violence interruption, gun violence prevention. Some of these people that work in these places in the District of Columbia, like the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement that oversees some of these things, I don't think they can even speak about some of this stuff that I'm talking about without losing their job. So it's probably good that I lost my contract that I had with them for at this moment in time, I can speak freely without any consequences. But if the Trump administration really cared about the safety in DC, the public safety, the people that does care about crime, the people that really feel some type of way about being safe, being able to leave out their homes and walk around like I walk around without worrying about, do they need to have a legal gun? If they're a felon, do they have to take the risk of toting an illegal gun? They would have released the $1 billion, but they kept the $1 billion to withhold things. And this is my personal opinion. It's not a conspiracy theory, but the only way that Trump can take control of DC for an extended period of time, other than this little 30 days that comes with the section 740 of the Home Rule Charter that says that the president may request the services of the police through the mayor, which he wants to extend. The only way he could do that other than that is to declare an emergency. Don't you think that an emergency could be declared? Don't you think that an emergency can be declared in the District of Columbia if they withhold $1 billion? Not that they were supposed, see, a lot of y'all don't understand that the budget of the District of Columbia comes from Congress. The whole District of Columbia belongs to Congress, for people who don't understand that. And the budget comes from Congress, right? But this $1 billion, according to the Baltimore Sun, is $1 billion in taxpayer money that the district already is entitled to, and they withheld it. And it would have been used for public safety. Let me do one of them Umar Johnson jumps real quick. The federal government withheld $1 billion from the District of Columbia. The federal government withheld $1 billion from the District of Columbia. The federal government withheld $1 billion from the District of Columbia that would have been used for public safety. So don't come and tell me that, oh, this is a great thing that Trump is doing, and this is about control. If you withhold that $1 billion from public safety, if you get rid of all the violence interrupters, if you get rid of all the people in the community, and now you attack the people in the community and villainize the people in the community, like the sister Athena that was body slammed and pepper sprayed at the train station for what they call fare evasion, in which they dismissed the charge the next day, but you intimidate people not to speak. Now you create a whole cycle of fear and intimidation, and you can say, we're going to use all of that to enforce emergency rules. If we can get away with it in the District of Columbia, we can get away with it in Baltimore, Philadelphia, Chicago, New York City, Oakland. In order to make some of the community safe, people in the community got to start making things safe. So the preacher man, of course, he gonna do what he does in the neighborhood. Grandma gonna do what they do in the neighborhood. But some of the niggas that's called gangsters got to start laying some law. I spoke to an old time, I ain't even gonna call him an old timer. I'm getting older, a dude that's a little older than me. And he said, E, one of the reasons things are so out of control in our city is because it ain't no consequences. And what does he mean by that? Some of the things that are consequences, people will call vigilantism. But, you know, at one point in time, and I'm not gonna say young and old, I ain't gonna make this a young and old thing. I'm gonna make this a point in time when you had order in the streets. And that's another thing that you lose when you lose law, because you lose the dudes that had some control in the streets. Now they're being sent to your blip as opposed to them being 30 minutes away. If it ain't no consequences, a motherfucker could smack grandma in the head, snatch her purse and take her car, and that's still some cool shit, then that means that the codes of the streets done changed. So once the codes of the streets start changing, then you had the community turn against the niggas in the streets, say, oh, them goddamn hooligans, fuck them niggas, I want them niggas to get locked up, them niggas don't have no respect for the community. So one of the reasons when motherfuckers get out of control and outlaw and get to tripping and bullshitting, and now the community turn against you, then the community see shit like this happening, the ATF, DEA, FBI, Secret Service on every corner, motherfuckers out there, they got to hustle because they trying to survive. Now they can't even make no money, and the people say, yes, we want it. They say, yes, we want it, because a bunch of motherfuckers out here committing all type of crimes ain't even getting no money. They just wilding. And I don't know where you start to correct that shit without getting into some gunplay yourself. I ain't see the comment, bro, but I see you on it. But, like, what I'm supposed to do? It took me 40 years to understand that shit. How should I expect let's keep it politically correct. How the hell can I expect a 14-year-old to comprehend or digest what the fuck I just said? I ain't comprehended at 16. That's how I got a life sentence. So how do we as adults, we keep saying, yeah, lock them up, fuck them. How do I expect a 14-year-old to comprehend it? How do I expect a person that's 14 years old, he can't afford the new shoes to go to school. God forbid he in a household with a parent that had a substance abuse problem like I encountered in some parts of my childhood. So you think that you got to go do something else. When they asked Janine Pirro, they said crimes are down, the statistics down. She said, I don't care. What about these people right here? That's what law enforcement is supposed to represent. Hey, man, appreciate the love. Shout out for the super chat. My 2019 case in Alexandria Federal Court changed an old your property thanks to Judge Ellis, who sentenced Trump's campaign manager. Okay. Yeah, but how do you expect somebody 14 to make some of the best decisions? The person is 14. You dig what I'm saying? The person is 14. We won't allow them to buy a pack of cigarettes. We won't allow them to buy beer. In some situations, they can't have a driver's license. Don't tell me that you don't care. I wouldn't even mind if, as a law enforcement official, she pushed the idea of where are the parents. If she pushed the idea of where are the parents, that'll be totally cool. And then secondary, if the parents can't do nothing, God forbid, then, and I ain't saying that, people haven't given the parents time enough to try, but I had a parent that tried and tried and tried and tried, and I was hard-headed, like a whole bunch of people from my generation, like a whole bunch of people from this generation right now that's quote-unquote active. Man, let me just say, the city is way safer than it used to be. Black on black crime is a problem. Let's address this problem. Let's address mothers covering for their drug dealing kids. Let's address parents. That ain't really, like, I understand that, but that ain't my job, and I'm not going to assume or pretend like I see a lot of these dudes try to stand on these soapboxes like, yeah, like it ain't my job to do it. Maybe I can identify it in the process of me brainstorming, live streaming and talk about some shit, but I ain't, it's not my job to do it, and I'm not saying that to say that I don't care. Of course I care. It's my community. I would be less than a man to not care. I'd be less than a man to not care. Miss Murray and Effie Berry. He was sent to Petersburg back then. He went to McKean too, if I ain't mistaken. What you talking about, Joe? I ain't talking about too much of nothing now. I missed the rack of them comments. If you want peace, you have to make peace, or consequences for criminals that make your community unsafe. I don't know what you mean by that. I ain't even trying to get too political right this minute. I'm just speaking. I'm outside Washington, D.C. I'm walking around. I ain't worried about nothing. But my opinion, I see a whole bunch of other people like this dude, Anton Daniels. I keep talking about it because I seen it yesterday. He's talking about how I went to D.C. a couple times. I went to the White House. It's crime everywhere. Do it look like it's crime everywhere? Do this look like King of New York? Do this look like what's the other movie? New Jack City? And I'm just walking around outside. Don't like that's for views. Like when people say different things are for views, I ain't knocking nobody to do anything for none of them people to do nothing for views. But those are the guys that claim that they're on YouTube and they're not of the ignorant crowd, and they are the intellectual black people. He talks about healthcare and benefits and abiding by the system, and they're always dick eating Trump and all these other things, and black people need to go get a job. Never once has he considered, whoever I've seen him talking on his platform, never once have I heard him even talk about anything from an aspect, not from ignorance or from a subculture, but I'm saying not even from the aspect of a Michelle Alexander or Van Jones or Shaka Senghor, where they explain it that, one conviction leads to something like 78 other personal hurdles for you to get housing and employment. He don't speak about none of that. I guess he would say, well, so what? That was your fault for getting in trouble. I don't like black people that stand on some type of pedestal or some type of soapbox BS like that. So, miss me with that if you think I'm one of them ones that care anything about that, champ. Make sure y'all double tap. If y'all bring me back. Well, ceasefire, don't smoke the brothers. Okay. Hey. No soapbox, just strict KDY. The Fred's trying to get at you yet? Nah, I've been out their way. I wish these newcomers were here in the 80s and the 90s since it's so bad now. I mean, that was my point. I had a conversation about some shit like that early. For everybody to think it, but now let me finish my thought. For everybody to think it's so bad now, and I do be saying, damn, y'all should have been here when I was growing up. But like one of my relatives that's not really in the streets, they made a good point. They say, even though it ain't like it was in the 80s or 90s, my grandchildren shouldn't have to experience this. Like, for an example, my nephew had a track meet at Spingarn, month or two back. And he from a part of town that he don't really experience some of this inner city shit. And there was a murder at the outside of the track meet. At first, the news tried to say it was like it was at the track meet, and then they corrected that because it really wasn't. It was outside of the track meet. But my nephew never known nothing about gunshots or murder. So when you expose young, innocent people to certain things like that, then I do understand. But as it says in the Quran, the earth is spacious. Man can move around. Now, for some people that can't, and other people that say, why should they have to? I understand all that. But urban America is a place where you got to pay attention, bro. So I ain't in the house. I ain't all in the house. Oh, my God, I can't go outside. I'm outside. So when Anton Daniels them talking about this crime everywhere, the feds everywhere, you bet. Bruh, I am outside. I've been outside all day. I'm outside. Man, they shooting at the football practices. That's true. City under siege. Mayfair Manor was a different place back then. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Wa alaikum salam. The 80s and 90s was the crack era, so yes, of course, it was much worse than now. Also, Martinberry provided for the community and provided summer jobs for the youth. Okay, cool. But for those who, like, shout out to Martinberry, but let me remind y'all, I'm a journalist. Let me spit the facts. Don't forget that the last time that the District of Columbia was taken over and home rule was taken away was back in something like 1995 when they implemented the control board. And they implemented the control board based on the federal government spending millions of dollars to investigate Martinberry for a few crack rocks. Y'all don't remember? That bitch set me up. The city was in a $800 million whole. I think the deficit was something like $800 million. The Federal Control Board, which is the feds, doing similar to what Trump has started to do. Trump just came from another angle. Trump came from an angle of applying Section 740 of the Home Rule Act to take control of the police, which would have been the first step of him taking control of the whole District of Columbia. He just did it a different way. But back in the 90s, the feds took control and said, DC, y'all fucking it up. Wall Street, the stock market, said the DC bonds were so much garbage they couldn't borrow $1 from a bum on the street. Google what I'm telling y'all. Like, y'all think that I just be on some goofy street shit, talking dumb shit. Now when I'm talking real facts, go Google the facts. When I'm talking like that, don't nobody pay me no attention. But if I'm saying a bunch of stupid, ignorant shit, my numbers go up to 1,000 views and shit. 1,000 viewers. But nevertheless, for all of us that love Marion, and I'm not dissing Marion, but I'm talking about at the era and time when they took DC back the last time. This has been done before in the 90s. This home rule is not an old law. Like, DC only had this law, this autonomy. I'm not gonna keep dumbing it down. If you don't know what autonomy is, look it up. You're gonna hear the word several times if you're following this District of Columbia bullshit. The only reason that DC has autonomy is something that came from a law from 1973 that was a federal law. It's called the Home Rule Act of 1973. Let me get my Umar Johnson on. It's called the Home Rule Act of 1973. It's called the Home Rule Act of 1973. But in 1995, if I ain't mistaken, from everything that occurred with Marion Barry going to prison, and don't forget, let me inform y'all of something. DC, the District of Columbia, for people who don't know, since I see all these super educated YouTubers, they're supposed to be so much more credential loaded than me, keep speaking like they know so much about DC. Remember, the Home Rule Act of 1973 only came in effect at that one point in time, and DC is one of something like 7 or fewer jurisdictions. If you don't know what that means, look it up. We're gonna start getting educated over here about more than drug dealer sneakers. But you don't lose the constitutional right to hold an office, which means you could run for mayor, like Marion Barry did. He went to prison. He went all the way to the feds. He was a DC black. Since y'all say I ain't talking about my DC black shit no more, Marion Barry went to the feds with a 016 number. For people who don't know, that's a DC Fed number. He had a Fed case for that hole that bitch set me up. But anyway, when he came home, not only did he become the mayor again, he became a city council member again, so he held public office again. I'm proving to y'all that even in DC, you don't lose the right to hold public office. But the whole country know you don't lose certain rights to hold public office because the president of the United States got 30 plus felonies in the White House. All type of gangster shit happened in the District of Columbia. Let's keep it gangster. But another right you don't lose when you're from DC is you don't lose the right to vote. Many people don't know that although DC residents only have one vote that's a federal vote, and that's the vote for the United States president. We don't get to vote for senators and congressmen. Shout out to Eleanor Holmes Norton. We don't get to vote for that type of stuff here. It's taxation without representation. But certain little things we get to do that no one else gets to do. A DC prisoner, whether he's in Atwater or Allenwood, can vote locally. So technically, for y'all that don't understand why I'm so against Trump taking over, because if he takes over and he takes away what's called Home Rule of 1973, Home Rule of 1973, Home Rule of 1973, shout out to Umar Ifatunde, if he takes that away, then he takes away the power to self-govern for the District of Columbia, which is what is called autonomy. So therefore, there would be no council members and no city council to pass laws like the Incarceration Reduction Amendment Act, which was put in effect to correct people that were over-sentenced in the 90s for things that have now been changed. Even the crack laws have been changed from 101 ratio to 18-1. So why shouldn't DC be in a position to be able to correct some laws for itself and its residents? That's why I'm against them playing with home rule. But DC prisoners can vote locally in the feds all over the country. They can vote when they come home. So just think about it. Somewhere in some prison, if they exercise their right and they voted for any of those council members, from Charles Allen, Ward 6, to Trayon White, Ward 8, to Kenyon McDuffie, who was Ward 5 at the time, Zachary Park is that person now, shout out to all of them. Somebody in some prison voted for those people because they went to prison while being a resident of a certain zip code. Most niggas from most prison systems don't even talk about the type of shit that I'm talking about, but we from DC and we got to know this shit or we gonna get fucked over all the time, just like they tried to fuck the mayor over. We're taking the city from them by taking the police. You got to have a certain swag to live in any city, but you got to have a lot of swag to live in the District of Columbia, bruh. That powder and crack law need to be equal. Yeah, that's, I mean, and Obama and them changed that to 18-1, but that's all federal law. So I don't want to hear these fake educated black people talking about, oh, black people are upset. Why are they upset that they're fighting crime? Most of those black people can't tell you what the Home Rule Act of 1973 is. Most of those people can't tell you that it took Marion Barry and them, a man who was born somewhere in Mississippi and grew up in Memphis. They're not going to tell you that it took people like him and Eleanor Holmes North and all these other people here in the 60s and the 70s to fight like a motherfucker to get what's called the Home Rule Act of 1973. The Home Rule Act of 1973. The Home Rule Act of 1973. They're not going to tell you they had to fight to do all that type of shit right there to even get it, for there to be a school board, for it to be a group. Not to say that all these people are doing their job exceptionally now, but there wouldn't be a school board or board of education if it wasn't for the shit that they fought for in like 1963, 1965. People in the District of Columbia couldn't even vote for the president of the United States until 1960 something. And y'all gonna talk about, oh, fuck them rights. We need the ATF and the DEA on the corner. That's because most of y'all ain't informed of what your parents or the people that came before you had to do to get these motherfucking rights that you so motherfucking randomly don't even know you have. And then you wanna be mad at me for talking like I be talking, like, oh, he think he know everything. You the same motherfucker to be wondering why the fuck did you need to vote? But, you know, what do I know? You need some, what? Tell them again, home, you got to have a different kind of swag to live in DC. What game is this? I don't know what you talking about, DC Blacks lawyers. Get some KFC, dude. I think you should start to calm down. Out of all the comments you can make, that's the comment that you make when we talking about a serious situation like this. See, you was one of the type of niggas that when the slaves was planning to run, your dick-eating ass was climbing through the back window to tell Master Eon and them got the slaves out there. They about to run. They got hatchets and knives and shit. They thinking about doing a Nat Turner. That's what type of nigga you was in slavery. Motherfucker should impale your ass. You know what that word mean? Look that word up. A motherfucker should impale your ass. You know what Harriet Tubman would have did to you? If Harriet Tubman came and say, shh, Master and them sleep. We about to creep across the Chesapeake Bay, and I'm gonna take y'all into Pennsylvania. You was the type of nigga that went to go tell Master Harriet and them out there, Black Moses out there. Come on, here you go, Master. Go put on your hoods and shit. Your DEA, your FBI, your slave catcher routine. You was one of them niggas, wasn't you? Tell the truth, bruh. That's why your mother charging 40 now, right? Because you was one of them niggas. See? You should have never left the plantation. Nobody of your DNA should have ever left the plantation. It's you the reason why they do shit that they do right now. Because out of everything that you could have said as a comment while we talking about something, when I'm on my education or I'm on my chilling shit, you come over here with your goofy, dick-eating ass. Somebody said, Harry would have bodied him. But you laughing at, commanders? That's what they be wanting, bruh. I'm gonna start charging you. Like back in the day, I don't know how many of y'all old enough to remember they had the sex lines. He wanna get on my motherfucking live stream while I'm talking about the future of the District of Columbia and how hard our people fought as black people mostly, because remember this was really Chocolate City. He wanna come on here and make some dick-eating statement to see if he can incite me to talk dirty to him. Okay, you should send me a super chat, you soft-ass nigga. Massa, Eon out there teaching the slaves how to read. Massa, Eon out there teaching the slaves that the Home Rule Act of 1973, Section 740, is what Donald Trump is using to take control of the city. Somebody go get his Instagram and his YouTube page deleted. Massa. Now we laughing at you, nigga. Django. Somebody said, don't feed into the trolls. All right, y'all. I mean, I already got my thing off. I just wanted to talk about the Home Rule Act of 73. I did that already. So, like Jay-Z say, you only get half a bar. Nigga, fuck y'all niggas.